A haunting mystery. 24 years later, the vanishing of Jason Jolkowski. It has now been 24 years since 19-year-old Jason Jolkowski vanished without a trace. On June 13, 2001, Jason was called into work early. Since his car was in the shop, a co-worker agreed to pick him up at Benson High School in Omaha, Nebraska. It was a short walk, just a few blocks. Before leaving home, Jason helped his younger brother with the trash cans. A neighbor saw him at 10:45 a.m., pulling them into the garage. That was the last confirmed sighting of him. Somewhere between his home and the high school, Jason simply disappeared. No screams, no evidence, no trace, just silence. Over the years, countless theories have emerged. Did a driver hit him and hide the body? Did he accidentally fall into a construction site? Was he abducted by someone he trusted? Or lured away by a neighbor under false pretenses? Despite endless searches, interviews, and speculation, Jason's case remains one of Nebraska's most chilling unsolved mysteries. His family has endured decades of uncertainty and pain, waiting for an answer that never comes. Jason's disappearance is a reminder that sometimes the most haunting stories aren't those told by ghosts, but by the silence left behind. A storm, blood, and a 30-year mystery, the vanishing of Leigh Occhi. On August 27, 1992, in Tupelo, Mississippi, as the remnants of Hurricane Andrew passed through, 13-year-old Leigh Marine Occhi vanished under chilling circumstances. That morning was her first time staying home alone. Her mother, Vicki Felton, left for work around 8 a.m. But when she called an hour later, there was no answer. Alarmed, she rushed home. What she found was every parent's nightmare. Blood smeared on the walls and floor, but no sign of Leigh. There was no forced entry. The house wasn't ransacked, but a pool of blood in the hallway and signs of a hurried cleanup in the bathroom told a story far more sinister. Leigh's nightgown was still inside, suggesting she had been taken suddenly and violently. Police launched an intensive investigation. Sightings trickled in. Disturbingly, a package arrived in the mail. Leigh's glasses, postmarked from a nearby town. Yet every lead collapsed into dead ends. Decades later, boxes of evidence remain sealed inside the Tupelo Police Department. Theories persist. Was Leigh taken by someone she knew? Was it a crime of opportunity? Or something even darker? 30 years have passed, and the community remains haunted by that stormy morning. Leigh's family still waits for truth, for justice, for closure. But the question that chills everyone who remembers her story is simple. What really happened to Leigh Occhi? The father, the stranger, and a deadly secret. The haunting disappearance of Anna Waters. In 1973, 5-year-old Anna Waters vanished from San Mateo County, California. To this day, no one knows what happened to her. Suspicion quickly turned toward her biological father, Dr. George Henry Waters. After Anna's birth, George's behavior changed dramatically. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia, but his wealthy family refused to have him committed, afraid it would cost him his medical license. George had fallen under the influence of an older man known only as George Brody. Many believed Brody's name was an alias. He was described as manipulative, controlling, almost cult-like. George made no decision without Brody's approval, even moving with him into a cheap San Francisco hotel despite his family wealth. But Brody's interest wasn't just in George. It was in Anna. He believed she was the reincarnation of a woman he had once lived with. He even forced Anna's mother to legally change her daughter's name, adding the bizarre middle name Ify so her name's numbers would align with his own. Then came Anna's disappearance. George never called his ex-wife for updates, never offered comfort. Instead, his only concern was whether he could stop paying child support. In December 1981, Brody died of cancer. His death certificate listed no relatives, no birth date, and no social security number. It was as though he never truly existed. 2 weeks later, George destroyed nearly all papers linking him, Brody, and Anna. Then, he locked himself inside a hotel room and took poison. His body wasn't found for a week. Despite the chilling details, police never found evidence directly tying George or Brody to Anna's disappearance. Today, Anna would be nearly 55 years old, if she's still alive. Her case remains one of California's most unsettling, unsolved mysteries. Because sometimes, the monsters aren't hiding in the shadows. They're sitting right beside us. Vanished in 90 seconds. The unsolved disappearance of Mikkel Biggs. 11-year-old Mikkel Biggs was gone in less than 2 minutes. She and her sister had gone out to get ice cream after hearing the truck, but her sister went back inside the house to grab a jacket. When she returned, Mikkel was gone. Her bike lay on the ground, a tire still spinning, and the coin she had for ice cream lay neatly beside it. There were no signs of a struggle, no scream, no note, just an empty street. It was a disappearance that happened in a heartbeat, about 5 minutes from where I lived at the time. And 24 years later, there's still no body, no official suspect, no answers. One man in prison is suspected by the family, but nothing has ever been proven. Some cruel person even altered a dollar bill, misspelling Mikkel's name to make it seem as though she had survived her kidnapping. Her sister spent years blaming herself for going back inside, a guilt that no child should bear. Mikkel's story haunts her hometown to this day. A cheerful afternoon turned into a nightmare in less than 90 seconds. And the shadows never let go. The mysterious midnight disappearance of Asha Degree. In 2000, 9-year-old Asha Degree disappeared from her home in Shelby, North Carolina. But the way she vanished was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. In the dead of winter, in the middle of the night, Asha got up, dressed herself, packed a backpack, and walked out alone. She was seen by multiple drivers along a dark highway. One driver tried to stop her, but she ran off into the woods. The next year, her backpack was found, buried at a construction site and wrapped in a trash bag. Inside were a nightgown and a book from her school library, items her parents said she had never owned. No struggle, no witnesses in the woods, no clues beyond the backpack, just a little girl, gone, and an unsolved mystery that has haunted the town ever since. Asha Degree's disappearance remains one of the most baffling and chilling cases in American history. A puzzle with pieces that may never fit. A Minnesota mystery, the vanishing of Brandon Swanson. Brandon Swanson, a young man from Minnesota, drove his car into a ditch one night while on his way home. Fortunately, he was unharmed. Confused and unsure of his exact location, Brandon called his parents on his cell phone. He believed he was near Lind, and his parents immediately drove out to pick him up. But they could not find him. Brandon stayed on the phone with them, guiding them as best he could, until 47 minutes later, he suddenly exclaimed, "Oh shit," and went silent. No one has seen or heard from him since. Searches were conducted, theories emerged. Did he wander into the wilderness? Did he encounter foul play? Or did something even more inexplicable happen that night? Over 20 years later, Brandon Swanson's disappearance remains one of Minnesota's most baffling mysteries. A simple car accident became a nightmare, and the silence afterward still chills all who hear his story. Subscribe to Mr. Shadow Whisperer.